Okay, as we suspected, we would have technical difficulty and my battery just went out on my camera. So we're going to do this lesson in 2 videos, if you will. So this is the second video. We'll pick up on this problem where we were. The sine of angle A, remember you're standing here, is opposite the square root of 35 over the hypotenuse, which is 18. The cosine of angle A is adjacent over hypotenuse, or 17 over 18. And the tangent of angle A is equal to the opposite, which is the square root of 35 over adjacent, which is 17. Then, let's say you run on down here, and now you're standing at angle B. Go ahead and do angle B, pause your video, and then come back and check your answers. So, the sine at angle B is opposite over hypotenuse, so 17 over 18. The cosine at angle B is adjacent over hypotenuse, so the square root of 35 over 18. And the tangent of angle B, put A there rather than B, is opposite over adjacent. Well, that one presents a little bit of a problem. I hope you picked up on that. You cannot have the square root on the bottom of a fraction. So you're going to have to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 35. So the tangent of angle B is 17 on the square root of 35 over 35. Make sure you don't leave square roots on the bottom, and make sure you break down square roots when you can. All right, continuing on with our trig. Sometimes they ask you to find the actual value of certain angles. So they might give you a problem that says the sine of 35 degrees. But you have no triangle. All you can use is a calculator. Now, you're going to need a scientific calculator, which you can do by turning your phone sideways. So all you would do is you would type in 35, press the button that says sine, and it's going to give you 0.5736, and you would round it to 4 places after the decimal. You have buttons on there for sine, cosine, and tangent, and all you have to do is use the calculator to get the right value. So go ahead and use your calculator to find the cosine of 65 degrees. Take a second. You should get 0.4226. Well, sometimes what you don't have is you don't have the angle. So let's say they say the cosine of angle A is equal to 0.226, and they want you to know, they want you to find out what the actual measurement of angle A is. Well, that's going to require you to do something called the inverse cosine. So if you're on your calculator again, make sure you clear it out. You're going to press second, and then you're going to see that that button shows up. So you're going to do the inverse cosine, but you're going to go back. You have to put that in first. So 0.4226. Then you're going to do the second. Make sure that you have the correct button there and hit that button, and it's going to give you a measurement of 65 degrees. Anytime you're trying to find the angle, you're going to use the inverse of these things. Anytime you're actually trying to find the actual sine of an angle, you're just going to use the actual sine, cosine, tangent button. What they might do is they might give you a triangle that you've got to find all kinds of things on. So let's say this one you have a 12 here, you might have a 38 degrees here, and you're looking for y and you're looking for x. You also, I think that's all you've got right there. So On this one, you're not trying to find any angles. You could find the angle by knowing that this angle plus this angle plus this angle adds up to 180 degrees. But since we know this angle, we'll just hang out right here. We're never going to hang out at the right angle. We want to know the value of x. Well, I know the value of the hypotenuse. So that would be comparing opposite over hypotenuse. So we say the sine of 38 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. Well, now I just have to solve for x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 12. So on here, I'm going to take 38, and I'm going to press the sine button, not the inverse sign. And I'm going to multiply that by 12, and it's going to give me an answer, if I round it off, to 7.4. So that's going to give me this. Now, the truth of the matter is, at this point, you could use Pythagorean theorem if you wanted to use it to solve for the y. Or I can go, well, if I use cosine of 38 degrees, that's going to be my opposite, or my adjacent, which is y, over hypotenuse, which is 12. So this time, I'm going to use the cosine button. Now, if you're using a graphing calculator, you just press in cosine 38. But on your phone, it's a little bit more difficult. So you have 35, you press cosine, and then you're going to multiply it by 12. And it's going to give me 9.5. So y is equal to 9.5. Let's do one where you have to find the angle. I know two sides. I know this and I know this. And I'm looking for that angle. Well, if I know adjacent and hypotenuse, adjacent and hypotenuse is the cosine. So the cosine of angle B is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. But remember, I'm trying to find an angle. So I'm going to use the inverse cosine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in, let me show you, I'm doing 20, or 12 divided by 20, and I'm going to do inverse cosine on that. And it's going to give me an angle, well, let me try it again, make sure that that was right. Okay, 12 divided by 20 is going to give me 0.6, and I'm going to do the inverse cosine, oh, there we go, which is going to give me 53 degrees. Now, if they ask me to find this angle, that angle is going to be equal to 37 degrees, because this plus this plus this has to equal 180. I could also do Pythagorean theorem to find this unknown side here, or I could use trig to find it. Right now at this point, I don't think they're asking you to do that. So, I'm going to give you your homework on these two sections. Okay, you have a little bit of time to do this homework because it's not due until noon on Sunday. And we'll see whether we're going too fast of a pace or too slow of a pace. So, you have page 619, 12 through 24 even. And then you have page 629, or 628 through 629, 20 through 60 even, and a lot of that is simply calculator use. So remember, this is due by noon on Sunday.